Al Cavalari here again for Fort Montgomery State Historic Site. And this is one of my favorite parts of our fort for a few reasons. One, it's a little more further removed from the busy Route 9W. That's the traffic noise that you can hear. So our northern redoubt is very close, gets intersected by Route 9W, very noisy. Here you're a little bit more into the woods, which is very much more pleasant. And I like the remains of our redoubt because as you can see there, we're looking at the westernmost tip of it. You can see where it comes to a point. And if you look back the other way, you're looking over the rest of the redoubt and you can see the edges of it, how it drops off on the right, drops off on the left. Now the giant hole there is not from the Revolutionary period. That's the remains of a quarry effort, a quarry operation that was going on in the 19th century. But if we look back over here towards the west of our perimeter, we see a structure over there, a house that was built during the Depression, part of the Works Progress Administration. That building houses park administrators today. But we think that right about in that area where that house is where the parley took place. So the fighting's been going on, say, from 1 in the afternoon until it's starting to get dusk. The British beat a parley. That means they come out. There would have been a drummer, beats a certain pattern on the drum. Everybody understands what it means. It's a signal. They've got a white flag. Doesn't mean they're surrendering. It means they want to talk. Let's see if we can see where we are and maybe come up with a way through this without us having to storm your fort. So the Americans come out. We've got several different accounts of what happens. They all agree on the most important points of what takes place. General Clinton sends out Colonel Livingston to meet with the British commander. That's Mungo Campbell, a Scotsman, Mungo, M-U-N-G-O. And all the accounts agree that Campbell makes it clear that in order to prevent the future effusion of blood, can we stop the bloodshed now? We demand an immediate surrender of the fort. And if you do that, we will treat you fairly. Words of that nature. We will not seek retribution. You will become proper prisoners of war. Now, at this point, the Americans have to know the position they're in because the fighting's been going on. Accounts differ, but maybe from about 1 in the afternoon up until now, 5 or so, 5:30, 6 o'clock. At that point, I think both sides would have a sense of where they are power-wise. So the Americans, in an amazing act of defiance, make it clear to the Brits, we are not going to give up the fort. We are going to defend it to the last man, and you're going to have to come take it from us. Now, one account says that at that point, Mungo Campbell responded, well then, I will eat my lunch in your fort, or I will eat it in hell, one way or the other. Words to that effect. So it's very kind of an ominous threat. All accounts agree that the Americans made it very clear in this act of defiance, words to the effect that we are not going to agree to become your prisoners, but if you will surrender to us and become our prisoners, we will treat you fairly. So that's an amazing, audacious statement from people who know that they're outnumbered so severely. They also know they're defending a fort that is not finished. So there are many places where the fort has breaches in the walls that have not been completed. There are also places where the walls, which are supposed to be over your head high, are only waist high. Also, we have accounts that say you really needed about 1,000 men to properly garrison this fort. And most common number given, the Americans only have about 300 men against 900 attackers. So they're very understaffed. They're outnumbered in a fort that is not complete. And this parley that takes place out by that house quickly breaks down because Mungo Campbell, I can just feel the poor guy rolling his eyes saying, now I have to take the fort and I'm going to lose some of my own men in this endeavor. So all accounts agree that once both sides realize there's nothing to be gained by this negotiation, they both retreat back to their separate sides, and the final British assault then comes very, very quickly thereafter. So the British have amassed themselves prior to this meeting in this ravine, this gully that's back there behind that fort, and we have a map of how their regiments were laid out, stretching along this entire terrain. And when the assault comes, some of the British regiments are going to come through that valley below us and attack the rest of the fort down that way. And some are going to come over this redoubt and swarm it, just like they did the North Redoubt that we talked about earlier. So now we're seeing the viewpoint of the attackers as they head towards our Round Hill Redoubt. They would have come from having been amassed over there in the gorge. They've come across this plain, and let's walk in those footsteps. Keep in mind, this is a bayonet charge, so they're not intending to fire their weapons. They're trying to take the fort by storm. They're going to rely on speed and determination and use their muskets like giant spears, and by sheer force of numbers, come over the walls, come through the walls, come around the walls, and get inside the perimeter and create a rout where the attackers are forced to flee for their lives. Here we go, we're going up over the wall. You can see the westernmost point of the redoubt right here. Up on the parapet. Now we can get down inside the fort and give them the bayonet.